All right, we got a new Genesis article that we're going to read together. So I got back from the Proto-YCS 2 weeks ago, about 2, 3 weeks ago, and I've had a lot of thoughts. I've been stewing a lot of what needs to happen with this upcoming format, just with what I saw in Richmond, what we saw in Guadalajara, what we saw in Dortmund, and I have a lot of thoughts about it. And I was about to make a video about it. I mean, I don't know if you can probably hear it. Not feeling super well, but I just decided, you know what? I'm just going to soldier through this, see what they have to say, and then kind of add my own thoughts to it. So this is what a couple things what to expect in the March points update. Let's see what they say. So them just talking about. I have not read this yet. So we're going to read this kind of together. So they're mentioning there's all of the different 300 YCSs that happened, the Proto-YCSs in both Richmond and Dortmund. And then lastly, the release of Maze of Muertos added a bunch of the new cards from that set into the pool. The Dark Magician stuff, the Pumpkin stuff, all really, really great. Illusion Gate. Wonderful, wonderful cards. And so I'm curious to see what they're going to say about that. So that's what they're immediately starting with is Maze of Muertos. So they're saying that the important thing is Gaze and Mayas doesn't make Red Eyes Dark Dragoon because it's 100 points. That's saying Gaze is not going to be pointed. So they're not going to worry about Gaze. Side note, we discussed Maze of Muertos with duelists at the events and whether the pumpkin cards really need a huge number of points. Most be able to suss out the players don't believe every new theme that releases is so powerful it needs to immediately have 60 or so points slapped onto its engine. So from that, they're saying we're probably not going to be pointing the pumpkin cards. There's no reason to. Need a sip of water there. And then usage rate outlier. So these are the decks that their performance significantly. Okay, before we go into that, let's talk back to Maze. I'm surprised they haven't mentioned cards like Illusion Gate. I think the card's insane. It's just better Raigeki in a lot of different ways. Being able to not only wipe their board but summon something back is really important. I don't know why they're not mentioning that. I mean, even like Sandwich Day, while not an amazing card, it's still just Pot of Greed. Well, Pot of Greed if you squint, but still, I think that card still needs points. Here we go. So this category covers decks. Let's talk about the usage rate. Just bring the most popular deck doesn't mean points are going to go sky high, but the margin between the most popular deck and the rest of the pack is massive. So Cool Tune was the far most played deck of the YCS with 53 players. Wow, that is a lot actually if you think about it. So I played 10 rounds and I didn't face the single deck twice. I mean, faced Monarch twice, but two different variants, I guess. So you want to count that. Yeah, Cool Tune being a very large deck, 53. That's like that's a good number. Like I think that's a tenth of it, and not counting the White Forest decks. So there's also the White Forest decks that use Cool Tune, the Radiant Typhoon deck that use Cool Tune, pretty crazy. And that's twice as many decks as Exo Sister. Hey, look, I was in there. Which was the second most played. Oh wow, that's actually shocking. I didn't know that Exo Sister was the most popular. So it looks like didn't pick too bad. And then next we had Monarchs 22, disgusting White Forest. Wow, I'm surprised to see so much White Forest in that. I knew the White Forest was good. I just didn't know it was that good. Draco Tail, Vanquish, Radiant Typhoon, and Archmage. Despite winning the event, Cool Tune's overall win rate hovered around 50%. So that's an interesting thing to note. I mean, because a lot of people are hating towards Cool Tune quite a bit. Soundproofed is a card that just completely X's out the strategy. Dimension Shifter just completely X's out the strategy. That's probably wise. That was the deck that people were preparing for. Like, that was the one thing where I was going in. I was like, I need to make sure my Cool Tune matchup is good. We have that, and that's done. Let's keep going. So we had 7 rounds of swim. The regard choices built up, and real casual duels weren't correct. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Many players regretting choosing Exo Sisters, and the data bears that out. No top 8 finishes, 2 total top 32 finishes between both. Sad. Maybe next time. Really, really sad. But I don't think that the problem is the Exo Sister cards. I think the problem is that the reason why Exo Sister did even as well as it did is it's a shifter deck. I mean, that's just what it is. People were debating shifter or no shifter. I still think a shifter was the correct pick for that. They earned some more points, but due to lack of success. Okay, so Exo Sister will be getting pointed. Good to know. Good to know. But not too bad. Let's see here. Usage rate out for the engines. Visions finally showed up as popular drawn engine, so we're going to be seeing it to Radiant Typhoon Visions. Good. I think that deck is really strong, or that card is really strong. There were Genesys cards. Oh, thank gosh. No. Wait a minute. I didn't read this. No, I think all those cards should be pointed. No. Yeah, no, I think all these cards should be pointed. Adventure and Branded. Well, Branded is a fuck a deck, but screw that deck. But the thing with the adventure cards, they don't hold up on their own. They need a sub engine. That's why the balancing worked. You can just play pure Regenesis, and people were still playing pure Regenesis. Like, what are we thinking here? That's ridiculous. No, this is not correct. I think that I think what we're gonna see from this is like Archfiend be more pointed because like actually fuck that card, but then maybe we'll see like Regenesis depointed a little bit. But like I think Code, Archfiend, and Sage all need points. Regenesis Archfiend should be 33. Code should be 15, and then Sage should be 5. I think if you want to play that engine, you got to invest points in it. Like actually, like fuck off, man. Aggravating. Also, in this category will be some changes to Punk as well as media. I knew it. Some people were doubting me. Yep, Medius the Pure should be pointed. I've been saying this for the past 2 months. I think Medius the Pure being used in Doomsday, and Archmage was strong, but now also you get the this Elven Note, I believe is what it's called, Elf Note. This card is incredible. Needs to be pointed for sure. I'm glad that they noticed that. This is where Ghost... Okay, here's the usage rate outliers for the non-engine. So that was just engine. Let's get into non-engine. So Ghost Ogre. Ghost Ogre and Friends. So Cool Tune really messing with it. Yep. So with all the tuner hand traps that Cool Tune could play, yeah, of course it's going to be very high up. They can play like 19 pieces of non-engine and it all actually works. Super frustrating. Card like Ash is definitely creeping up in usage and going to go up in cost. Wow. That's a great observation. So I spoke with a duelist in Richmond, and he had said that Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring is such a good card that he literally put 3 Ash Blossoms in and started building from there. So I'm glad to see that it's going to go up, but what I'm not glad to say is this. No, I don't think this is right. Maybe they bring it down to 20. Like, maybe that is where we find the even ground. Like, so you play, like, 2 Droll Knockbirds, so it's, like, advanced where it's at 2. But, disgusting. This card is so annoying to go against. I still think even without Droll, I don't find games that were fun with, like, that. I'm surprised they haven't mentioned Shifter. I'm surprised they have not. Because I know a decent number of decks were using it. Goaty, particularly. The standard side deck. Okay, this is really good. So, what a lot of people had noticed is, like, basically the side deck was kind of solved at this point. Crow, Cosmic, Slayer, all good cards that are great. And then the Slayer targets, and then this set I found is very interesting, is more than half of duelists also played 3 Dark Ruler No More. I did not. I chose not to play Dark Ruler No More because I knew people were going to be playing around it. I'm surprised it's more than half. That's kind of a crazy number. I mean, it is free, so it makes sense. And also, you don't have to, like, work your side deck around for Slayer. But these cards will no longer be free, and they're going to go up. So basically, yeah, Slayer is not surviving. I'm surprised. I'd actually be a little hard-pressed if they hit DD Crow in any way. I think it's, like, the Genesys hand trap. And I guess that's what they did with, like, what's the card I'm thinking of? The Rescue Ace Impulse. Where we had like the hand trap for the format, and they're just gonna be like, nope, we don't want that anymore. And then Cosmic if they hit Cosmic, I'd be very surprised. Low usage decks players like. We'll be taking another pass over the points list, looking for decks the players seem to feel like, but the points are a bit too heavy on the poster. People were playing Dragon Ruler. People were doing well with Dragon Ruler. What is happening? No, I think the rulers are pointed exactly where they need to be. 7 apiece for the dads. That's it. Like, come on. Like, shut up. No, like, if that happens, like, we're gonna see towers, mirrors. Like, ugh, super aggravating. Low usage non-engine. There are several cards ongoing point decay now, rarely or never appearing in decks. Yep. Okay, so just noting that, and then here it is, the FTKs and pseudo FTKs. Since we want to keep Genesys some miscellaneous cards, mostly draw spells, are going to be points tacked on. Shout out to Dyer, but more importantly, you know what? More importantly, shout out to the duelist who got second place at the Columbus Win Giant card, because regardless of what other people think, you deserve the credit for putting people on this fuck-ass deck. So here's to you. I knew you were a lovely guy. My friend dueled you in the Giant card. I knew you're a lovely person, but why would you do this to us? I'm kidding. But yeah, no. I'm glad that they're noting the draw spells are going to get pointed. Yeah. And then people tried FTKs. They didn't do so hot, but there's only one way to be sure. So I know there was the Galaxy as FTK going around as well. So good to note that. So after we make this update, we're going to leave things alone through the end of the Genesis celebration events. There will be another update for the launch of Blazing Dominion. So that means we're going to get our next points list in the beginning of May. So yeah, we'll have like 2 points to mess around with the format. That's gonna be really interesting. We have the new X Saber cards coming out between then, so maybe they'll do something. But yep. And then if something pressing comes up during the month and a half, we'll address it so players can get ready for the YCS in Columbus on May 23rd. I really hope to be there because yeah, this looks like they're going to be really on top of it, but also not too on top. I knew as soon as they had the first few lists, we'd be getting some stagnating lists. Here's the roadmap. Here we go. After we posted the Genesis roadmap, which you really should read if you have not. Truth Bomb. Right there. Read that. Really, really good stuff here. So they're going to answer some questions. So for big top events, where day 1 will be in Friday, and day 1 of the other main event will be Saturday, can I shoot for day 2 of each event by playing in day 1 of both? Yes. So this one, yeah, so you can play in both the Genesis and the advanced format main events, and then on Sunday, you will have to deal with that. Repeat the days. Let's see here. It starts July, so not at Columbus. So this will start after Columbus. So Genesis will be a low power format. Can that be fixed? This has already been done. Is that the tournament organizer can just adjust the point cap? But here's the thing. Here's the thing that kind of this is kind of an ignorant answer. No. They're not going to do that. There are rarely Genesis events as is. I'm very lucky in that my locals is primarily Genesis. So if I wanted to do something like that, we can set that up. But this is not something that's going to happen on the average occasion. They're not going to run Genesis side events with different point values. It's just not going to happen. It's not realistic. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, it is a quote-unquote lower power format for sure. In my personal opinion, I do see it being lower power. It does sometimes feel like it can be advanced light, I mean, look at the top decks, like Radiant Typhoon, Cool Toon. I mean, Cool Toon's not even played, but like you still see like Radiant Typhoon, Draco Tail. Both are being played in Genesis. And then what data do we use? So it's tournament data, and then invitationals, and then soon the YCS. But this is what's really important. MBT has been really good at getting this information out there, so I want to echo that. If you have a deck that's doing well at your event, at your locals, wherever you're doing online things, share it on social media using the hashtag YGOGenesis tag. That is what they're looking at whenever they look for points lists. They're building it brick by brick during this early access period, and it's coming together very nicely. So that's another thing to point. I mean, they're still in the very early phase. It's a format that I believe is coming up on its 5th birthday, or fifth month anniversary, 5th month birthday. So we still have a lot to go, with what it wants to be. As someone who has, dabbled in alternate formats. Creating a format is hard. It's incredibly challenging. It takes time, patience, and effort, and the players need to be willing and committed to the process of doing it, because without committing to the process, you can just it'll fail out and it'll fade away. And I'm very thankful that we have a lot of creators out there who are so willing to just wait it out and keep working with it, because at some point this is going to be a format that is going to be not just the secondary format, but I feel like it's going to be a preferred format for sure. For sure. I'm a big fan of it, even with its nonsense. I like it. So, with that being said, let's go through the last thing, which is what did they not talk about that I wish they did. So when I go up here to non-engine, I'm surprised we didn't see anything about shifter. That's one thing I already mentioned. Other decks that need to be hit, I think about like Dark Lord. I think Dark Lord as a deck is very, very strong. The branded cards are incredibly strong. Like Ecclesia, the new Ecclesia is very strong. I wish they mentioned that in terms of things that people are playing. We can look at. I think. What else would I say with Maze Muertos? I really wish they mentioned things like Illusion Gate, the hero cards being very strong. But overall, I mean, they covered a decent bit. So they're saying that we should see our points list on Thursday or Friday. We'll see when that happens. I'll have a video up so that we can see where the format takes us, and then we can start posting some lists with the new points update. But meanwhile, we have a couple more days. Please keep up with Exodia FDK. Just please do us all a favor. And let's make the last few days of this format enjoyable for all, and I will see you all when we have a points list adjustment update. Thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for sticking around to the end of this, almost 20-minute video. I love Genesys, and I hope that you do too, after listening to me rant about it for so long. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.